You had something that made you stop in the idea of saving fuel.
Toyota's experimental fuel cell is the FCH-V, based on their Highlander SUV. It's capable of speeds of up to 95 miles per hour and has a range of 150 miles.
The hydrogen cars of tomorrow are not that far away. We've already sold 2 in the state of California, and they're running. They're full SUVs. Have had great experience from them. We're developing the technology to identify what we can do to commercialize it.
Commercialization will eventually bring down the high costs of manufacturing hydrogen vehicles, but automakers want to make sure these cars of the future are as practical as cars of the present.
We have to make the technology reliable. If your car crashed as much as your computer system crashed, you wouldn't want anything to do with it.
What makes running an automobile with a fuel cell complicated is not the fuel cell, but the fuel. Although it's the most abundant element in the universe, hydrogen is expensive and difficult to isolate, and it's highly flammable. So why use it? Hydrogen is very potent, with about 3 times as much energy by weight as gasoline, but with no toxic emissions.
Let me show you what's in the trunk. This is a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, and this is where we store that hydrogen, in this tank. Hydrogen is like the fuel, just like gasoline. You have to treat it with respect, and you have to treat it in a certain manner. It's not the Hindenburg, it's not going to explode, it's not a hydrogen bomb, it's very safe. These cars go through very, very rigorous testing, including crash testing.
There is another obstacle, finding a hydrogen gas station. A few experimental fueling stations have been set up in California to support the handful of hydrogen fuel cell cars on the road. But it's a far cry from the type of infrastructure needed to support the massive use of this new technology. But proponents of hydrogen believe the obstacles aren't as great as the benefits.
It's very easy to fuel a hydrogen vehicle. Hydrogen's not messy, it's non-toxic, it doesn't spill, it doesn't smell. You hook the receptacle up, the vehicle talks to the station, about 30 seconds, you can drive away.
The fact is, our current hydrogen fueling station uses tap water. We use electricity through the water to crack the hydrogen out. The hydrogen is compressed, put into the tank of the car, and the car drives. Absolutely no pollution. And the electricity that we use here is all renewable from either solar power, or hydro, or wind. The only emission from the car is a little bit of water vapor. If you're really thirsty, you could drink what comes out of the tailpipe.
Hydrogen is clean, it's inexhaustible, it's just everywhere. And that's the power, I think, that we need to utilize to fuel our economy.
Cost has to come down, and we need to create a hydrogen infrastructure so people can refuel their hydrogen-powered cars. Those are the 2 obstacles that are going to take another 15 or 20 years to fully perfect before they're on the road in common. 10 years from now, you'll begin to see hydrogen-powered cars here or there. But 15 to 20 years from now, they'll be the norm.
Fuel cell technology will also change the way an automobile is designed.
With hydrogen, it's likely that the components that make up the complete hydrogen storage and propulsion system will be much more flexible in arranging them around the vehicle in a different way. So we then begin to see the car or any road vehicle take on much more interesting and different forms. The internal combustion engine is no longer going to dominate.
This unconventional approach to design is evident in GM's high-wire concept car. Free of a bulky internal combustion engine, it creates a very low-profile passenger cabin with a lot of room. Its hydrogen fuel cell and every other operational system are mounted within an 11-inch platform underneath. This platform or skateboard idea could usher in a system of interchangeable modules that a customer could buy and place on top of the skateboard.
What this means with that skateboard or platform concept is they can go into a dealership showroom and they can order up an SUV, and they can even be for a couple of years. Well, maybe they want it to be a sports car when the kids are out to school. They can come back to the dealership, they can take off those pieces that they'd ordered previously, and they can put on the sports car package for the midlife crisis, if you will. The possibilities are just phenomenal.
Internal combustion engines convert less than 30% of the energy of gasoline into power. Electric motors powered by hydrogen utilize 40 to 60% of the fuel's energy. Modern Marvels car tech of the future will return on the History Channel.
When it comes to the automobile, Americans love to take a good idea and make it their own. For some, it's about style. For others, it's about something deeper.
We all want to say something. We want to make a statement, and some of us want to make a statement with our cars. And that statement can be anything from, I'm a real cool, sporty, high-performance kind of guy, to, I'm working to save our planet.
A growing number of people are making just that statement with their cars. They're customizing, modifying, and changing their vehicles into clean, green street machines.
It's perfectly legitimate to try modifying your car to run on an unconventional fuel or get astounding fuel economy or not pollute as much. That's a brand of personalization that a lot of us could applaud, actually.
Attracting attention to this philosophy, driving outside the box, was the goal on April 30th, 2003, at the Santa Monica Pier in Southern California. That's when media, friends, family, and celebrities kicked off Dennis Weaver's Drive to Survive, the first American cross-continent convoy of advanced and alternative-fueled vehicles.
Somebody asked me, says, what are you doing here? I said, well, what we're doing here is we're going to change the world. At least we're going to change the energy that propels the world.
The idea was to show people a variety of ways cars could operate without using a typical gasoline engine.
Rolling out on hydrogen. Hydrogen. 2 hot blondes in the red hot hybrid.
Well, we got to do it. We're going to run out of oil, folks.
Yeah, you can't grow it, can't manufacture it.
No.
So, you know, scientists are telling us it's going to be gone in 30, 40 years, probably earlier.
Okay, you're here. Ready? 1, 2.
Actor Larry Hagman, who played a rich Texas oil man in the TV show Dallas, and fellow co-star Linda Gray got their first look at a hydrogen-powered fuel cell.
This is great.
They also got a peek at a hydrogen hot rod.
What you're looking at is a 64 Cobra body. It was donated by Carroll Shelby, and the engine was put together to run on pure hydrogen. And this, what we're trying to do is use a clean fuel, and yet we still get the performance out of it. What more can you ask for? Every hot rodder will kill for this car.
Russell Gerke will be making the drive in his 2003 Dodge Cumming 3500 series pickup truck.
I started out in Missouri and I got to end up back in Missouri. I'm going to be packing on close to 6,000 miles.
Russell's 305 horsepower diesel engine will be running the whole way on a biofuel made from soybeans.
Cross the country twice, what I got in the back of the truck here.
Soybeans can pack a punch. In 2002, Russell fueled and engineered Mark Smith's jet car, Wildfang, into the record books.
We ran 211 miles an hour on biodiesel in the 8th mile and set a world record for renewable fuel speed. This was done in a turbine. It makes a great jet fuel also. It makes a jet run great.
Powering an engine on biofuel is not a new idea. Rudolf Diesel successfully developed the basic technology in the late 1800s.
He produced the diesel to run on a variety of fuels, one of those fuels being vegetable oil. When he debuted the motor at one conference, he was running it on peanut oil. And we call these fuels fatty acid esters. So what's going on now? 100 years have passed. We're going back to what he'd originally designed the motor to run on in the first place, methyl esters.
Biofuels burn 90% cleaner than regular diesel and give Russell as much as 40 miles per gallon, almost doubling the truck's mileage, but with no loss of horsepower.
It's not months, it's not weeks. We can make biodiesel now. The capacity's there. It's quick to make, it's easy to make. The byproducts are food, soap, and fuel. End of story.
The planned route of the caravan of cars is up the California coast and then across the country stopping in 20 different cities before ending at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. On the long road, the Drive to Survive cars got to test their technologies, efficiency, performance, and durability. The Caravan met with enthusiasm everywhere they went. And finally, after 15 days, the cars rolled on to Capitol Hill.
Across the country driving hydrogen.
It's great to see you. How was the drive? Terrific. That's just great.
We're always trying things, you know, that's the nature of human beings. We're a species that creates. And this reminds me somewhat of the horse and buggy days when they started making the automobile. People were saying, well, what's it going to do with all the jobs related to horses? And what we did is we lost some of those jobs, but we more than compensated for those losses by creating new jobs. And that's exactly what's going to happen when we move to a hydrogen economy.
For less than $5,000 and only a few days of tinkering, Utah's freestyle skier Ty Robinson modified his 1999 Toyota Tacoma 4x4 into the intergalactic hydrogen car, or what he calls the poor man's fuel cell.
The only two parts I've had to put underneath the hood is one dry gas carburetor and one all-in-wonder pressure regulator, zero pressure diaphragm. The current vehicles we have, the internal combustion engine, we have all the parts available that are right off the shelf. You can put on that engine and make it multi-fuel capable.
Ty's truck can run on pure hydrogen, but he wanted to cross the country without having to refill his limited supply, contained in these pressurized tanks.
A kilogram of hydrogen is around the BTU equivalent to a gallon of gasoline. And since I'm achieving 22 miles per kilo on hydrogen, I have a range of 110 miles on straight hydrogen here. But the benefit to get all the way across country, I had to extend that range. So that's where I went to high boosting, just putting a small amount of hydrogen in with the gasoline and air mixture. Then the range is dramatically increased.
From Capitol Hill to the snow-covered mountains of Telluride, Colorado, meet Cheris Ford. He's busy modifying his 1980 International Scout truck's fuel system for the winter.
So what I'm doing here with this gas tank, or grease tank as the case may be, is I'm insulating it because it's so far from the engine cavity where things are typically warm that I want to kind of do everything I can to keep it nice and warm in the tank, make sure our fuel doesn't gel.
It's because his alternative fuel vehicle runs not on diesel, electricity, or even the sun. It's powered by recycled kitchen grease. Cheris calls his biodiesel fuel greasoline. In colder temperatures, it will turn solid just like cooking grease does in the refrigerator. His insulated fuel tank and lines keep his fast food fuel flowing. And when it does, you'll know it.
Oh my God, it does! It smells like French fries.
Hey Lucas, what's going on?
Cheris makes periodic visits to local restaurants to collect the grease. He drains it right out of the deep fryers and into containers. Later, the grease is strained to get out the chunks.
Yes, come back next week. I'll probably have like 4 more for you.
Okay, great.
It's just simply eliminating waste, and we've got to eliminate waste.
This fry and drive idea has made Cheris famous around town.
Good evening and welcome to Doc Talk. My guest tonight, Cheris Ford. Cheris, let's go ahead and take this call.
Hey John, what's going on?
Prompting periodic interviews at the radio station.
It speaks to bio-friendly fuel, and I have this dream that one day I might have a hand in creating one of the nation's first alternative energy stations, you know, like hippie smoothie bar with a variety of biofuels that you could get, whether they be hydrogen for your fuel cell vehicle or ethanol or biodiesel for your big truck.
Doris is one of those guys that doesn't follow in the footsteps of other people. He's making his own footsteps, and I love that.
In 1912, Rudolf Diesel said, "The use of vegetable oils for engine fuels may seem insignificant today, but such oils may become, in the course of time, as important as petroleum and the coal tar products of the present time." Modern Marvels Car Tech of the Future will return on the History Channel.
Car technology has made almost any car imaginable possible. But the success or failure of a production car is a high-stakes game.
Of the GT40.
When we plan a car today, we plan it, used to be 5 years in advance. Now through technology, we can do them in 3 years. But you got to bet the farm, like on a model, $1 billion at one time.